Man, I hated this $200 ship excursion so much. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to La Lido Loca. I am your host, Tony, here with a tale of woe, a tale of poor decisions, and a tale of regret. A tale of a cruise excursion that I willfully went on, I willfully agreed to go on, that I hated so much. And I'm telling you this story so maybe you can avoid the same mistake that I made. So for a little context, this cruise excursion happened on my recent cruise on the Caribbean Princess, a wonderful 10-day itinerary up through New England and into the Canadian Maritimes. And one of our port stops was in Sydney, Nova Scotia, home of the world's largest fiddle. It's a playable fiddle, apparently. You just need really big hands. And it was at this cruise port that I decided to board a coach and take a tour of the Cabot Trail. Now, this excursion came highly recommended, and when I woke up that morning in Sydney, Nova Scotia, I was in good spirits, anticipating a wonderful day of exploration. But shortly after boarding the bus to the Cabot Trail, I realized that this was not going to be a glorious day of exploration. This was going to be a long day of riding on a bus. And here's the kicker, and look, I'm certainly kicking myself on this one. That's exactly what was advertised in the description of this excursion. The excursion explicitly says that you would be traveling by coach across the Cabot Trail, a portion of the Cabot Trail, with some stops. Not very long stops, but some stops. And well, that's exactly what I got. I was on this tour bus for 7 hours with a few 30, 40, 15-minute, 5-minute stops at various sites. And so you may be saying out loud, Tony, if the tour gave you exactly what was described, then what happened? Where was the mistake? Why did you hate it so much? And well, the mistake was with me. The way I like to cruise has changed over the last year, and I've been more exploratory of the ports than I have ever been in my entire life. And I really have changed my strategy when it comes to exploring cruise ports. In the past, I would do very little research. I would go down to the excursion desk. I would just ask somebody there, what do you recommend? And then I would take their recommendations. And some excursions I would enjoy, some excursions I wouldn't enjoy. But this year I've been very specifically trying to research the ports that I was going to before making any plans. And look, other than this day, this cruise was filled with so many interesting experiences that I had researched in advance and was able to participate in. So if my bad time on this excursion is completely on me, why would I even share this conversation with you? Well, of course, the reason I want to share it with you is so that you can learn from my mistake. And look, I'll be the first one to raise my hand and say I'm somewhat lazy when it comes to research pre-cruise. I have so many things going on that sometimes I don't think about what's going to happen on the cruise until I get on the cruise. And well, fortunately, most cruise lines have a system in place that can help people that didn't do a ton of port research prior to getting on the cruise ship, but still want a decent amount of knowledge about the ports before they make a decision on what to do. Princess Cruise Line, certainly one of those. They had a travel destination expert on board. Her name's Vicky Bone. And when I say port destination expert, what does that mean exactly? Well, this is a person that has done the research for the ports that we are going to, and they package all that research and information into a presentation. They'll do it live in a theater or in a lounge. And the magical thing about Princess is if you can't catch it live, it's on the TV. So my main source of research for this cruise, for all of my cruise ports on this destination, except for Sydney, was to watch Vicky's presentation a couple days before we arrived at the port and then come up with a plan for what to do to explore. It was magical. It's a great system, and I got so much enjoyment. I hit so many places and found out so much information about these ports that I don't think I would have figured out on my own because it was so nicely packaged the way it was by Vicky. Vicky, not only a resource when you're on a Princess cruise ship, she has her own Facebook page called Cruising Princess with Vicky. Currently, she's doing the New England Canadian itineraries, but later in the year, she'll be down in the Caribbean. And so if you're cruising with Princess, or if you want any great just cruise port insights, I would highly recommend checking out the Facebook page, Cruising Princess with Vicky. Now, I've caught myself just a little bit. I said that this information that I got from Vicky on the Princess cruise ship was the big research that I did for this cruise. Not exactly true. There were a couple cruise ports, Boston, Massachusetts, Portland, Maine. Those were planned primarily by my friend Leah, who lives in Portland, Maine. Leah is someone who I met on a cruise. And so local resources are also a good way to figure out what to do in a location. So if you have a friend in a location, or if you meet somebody online in a location. And I'm in a fortunate situation because of what I do here on YouTube. I do get a lot of local contacts reaching out saying, hey, we'll drive you around for the day. We'll show you the town. I'm still a little bit of an introverted stranger danger kind of guy. So a lot of times I don't connect with those people that I don't know. But if I've met you on a cruise ship before, if I have some sort of friendship, then I'm certainly open to that. So Leah, I've known for a while. I've met her face to face. I was virtual friends for a long time with Ian in Sydney, Australia. So my comfort level with Leah and Ian, for example, are very high, but I still do have that stranger danger. So for anybody who's ever offered to show me around a place, if I don't know you at all, that's probably the big reason why I said no thank you to the offer. But yeah, another great resource is people that live in the area. And certainly on this trip for Boston and for Portland, Leah made those days what they were. So a big shout out to Leah also. Now, every cruise may not have a dedicated destination expert. Sometimes the cruise director will take on that role. Holland America cruise directors particularly will actually be the ones that do the port talk. But for the most part, every cruise that you go on, before you go to a port of call, there will be a port talk. And this is a huge, great resource if you don't have a plan for the port that you're visiting. And I also feel like I need to say this. I'm not casting any shade on the Cabot Trail. Such a fascinating place. The big nugget that I did take away from the tour that I did not know that is now resonating in my mind and connecting a lot of dots for me is that the Appalachian Mountains, they start over in Europe and they go under the ocean, or the ocean covers them, and then they re-emerge up in Canada, and then they work their way down the east coast of the United States. And you may not know this about my story, but my people, at least from my father's side, are from the Appalachian Mountains. They're coal miners in West Virginia. And so part of the Cabot Trail felt very homey to me. I lived in Middle Tennessee, and we would go to East Tennessee to the Smoky Mountains, part of the Appalachian Mountain Range. And so a lot of this felt very familiar to me. And there was a lot of cool stuff to do there if you were able to do stuff. There was a glass blowing studio. There were trails to hike. There was a lot of stuff to do there, except that's not what our excursion was about. Our excursion was driving around the Cabot Trail and looking out the window. And again, that's what it was sold as. My fault for not doing any more research than that. But yeah, no shade on the Cabot Trail. I just want to say that. Really no shade on the recommendation of this tour, but big shade on me for making a simple cruise mistake and not really researching what to do in Sydney, not really researching what this excursion meant, not internalizing that and saying, Dad, this probably isn't for me. This Caribbean Princess cruise was my 49th cruise since I started cruising in 2017. And it's amazing to me all the stuff that you continue to learn, the nuances of cruising. Cruising's simple, but it's complex in the most marvelous way. And yeah, even after a bunch of cruises, I'm still learning myself and still making mistakes. And hopefully, hopefully my mistakes will help you make better decisions in the future. Have you ever been on a cruise excursion that was a dud? Do you love the Cabot Trail? Are your hands big enough to play the world's largest fiddle? Leave a comment below. Thank you so much for checking out the show today. Show your support by hitting the like button. This is Tony for La Lido Loca. And until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.